Here are three things that plague people during the awakening process. This is before awakening, after awakening, even in deeper realization. These are very human tendencies, but are easily overlooked depending on your proclivities, your tendencies. The first one I talk about frequently, that is intellectualization. That is trying to approach spirituality through thought, through reasoning, through understanding. Or even after we've had a shift, not recognizing the degree to which we still use thought as a pacifier. This is fantasy, mind wandering, conceptualizing, and on and on. Ultimately, it boils down to not realizing what is a thought and what is not a thought. If you thoroughly see, digest, realize what is a thought and what is not a thought, this is not a complicated process at all. It might be uncomfortable, but it's not complicated. So at some point, you really just have to fully accept the fact that all of the storylines, all the narratives, the labels, the beliefs about yourself, the beliefs about your history, the beliefs about your realization, it's just a bunch of thoughts. The beliefs about what's going on right now, how you're feeling, the beliefs about the fact, the apparent fact that the past is going to dictate how you experience this moment. All of this, just thoughts. Really nothing more than thoughts. And that has to be fully digested at some point, because otherwise you just get tied up in your mind and don't recognize it because you haven't matured in that realization. So that's number one. And this affects everybody. Of course, this plagues everybody at various times. But if something still feels sticky at a deep stage of realization, really look into this. Number two is control. We see the agent, the sense of being a doer. We see that it's an illusion, that it's really a collection of thoughts, memories, and so forth. But part of us doesn't want to let go of it. Part of us wants to continue to believe that at some level we can control life. We can make life do what we think we need it to do to make us feel better. We believe we can control other people's reactions or behaviors or thoughts or beliefs through manipulation and so forth. This is just an illusion, ultimately. And if you buy into that illusion, you will also be buying into a sort of collective delusion that's shared among humans. It's very easy to get entangled in that. So don't get entangled into the illusion of control. See clearly that life is just how it is. This moment is exactly how it is. It's not 1 millimeter apart from what it is. It's not one tiny little bit different than it is. Obviously, this is obvious, right? But very quickly we start to overlay a thought about how this could be. Not how it is. I don't want to see how it is. I want to see how it should be or could be, right? Exerting some kind of force. None of that's really happening. You can't really exert force. But what you can do is shoot yourself up into your head with fantasy about what should be happening and how it could be and on and on. But it's ultimately just control. If you see the mechanism clearly, feel the mechanism, realize there is no such thing as the control in the way we imagine there is, then it loses momentum. It loses its enticement. These thoughts, stories about control, about how things should be or could be, they just stop being interesting. They just sound like more blah, blah, blah of the mind. So control does sneak in at very deep levels. You could say that that's maybe the fundamental illusion, is the illusion that I need to make the world different in this moment so that I can be okay, that I can be comfortable, that I can not suffer, that I can not feel pain, that I can get more pleasure, whatever it is. But it's not necessarily, key to this is not necessarily seeing that pleasure isn't enjoyable or pain is not uncomfortable, because that may still be the case. It's seeing that it doesn't matter. That there's no need to rise up with that belief and try to do something about it, because it's already in the past. By the time you perceive anything, it's already in the past. So you learn, oh, this moment is everything that's needed, everything that's possible. And that's it. There's nothing more to that. There's nothing more to think about. There's nothing more to do here. It is just how it is. Simple, obvious, unequivocal. And then the illusion of control can subside. Now, it may be an intense feeling when you start to let go of the beliefs about control, the ideas that life could be different. No, it could be different if I really think about it enough or argue for it or whatever. When you see through those thoughts, you still might feel a strong sensation. And what you'll realize is the beliefs about control are actually a reaction to the sensations. They're a reaction. They're a reaction to shoot up into the mind instead of just fully feeling those sensations. So ultimately, it's just about feeling, as it always is. So feel the sensations that come up when the sense of wanting to complain about life, manipulate life, change things, argue endlessly that it should be different or could be different. Feel what's underneath it. That's it. And disregard the thoughts, because the thoughts are just delusion. Yeah. So that's number 2, control. Number 3 is a little bit more of a subsegment of people, but I see it really, really, really jamming certain people up if they're set up for it. And that's competitiveness. Maybe this is a little bit more early on, but it probably sneaks into later stages as well. But it can be a real demon for some people that don't realize they're trying to wake up because they think it's something someone else has. They're trying to wake up because they're trying to win some contest that they don't realize they're in. This, of course, materializes from the relational matrix, which is an illusion, but it's all thought-based, but it's rather binding for everyone until it's not. So when we feel like we're in this relational matrix, we can easily feel like, we're isolated. We don't have enough of something. We don't have what that person has or that person has. Obviously jealousy, envy, competitiveness all arise from this. And probably everybody faces some of that. But some people, it's really, really prominent in their experience. And it can be very hard for them to see. And sometimes they don't want to see it, I've noticed. But if you're really struggling with awakening and you can't figure out why it's not happening for you, look into this. You may be secretly rather competitive. And what comes with that competitiveness may be a sort of bit of a warrior spirit framed in the sort of positive, but framed in the sort of negative, it's something like an insecurity that won't be satisfied until you beat that person or that person or that person. The problem with awakening specifically is that it's really the wrong approach. You're really misperceiving what happens when you see somebody else have an awakening. You're really misperceiving it. It's not, they don't have something you don't have. And if you believe that and operate from a paradigm that makes it seem like that, it's really deluding. It's confusing because it's really the opposite. It's something that's been let go of that you're seeing. And it's the very thing that you're holding on to, trying to get from someone else or trying to get what someone else has that you don't want to let go of. That's the key. That person let go of it and you're not willing to because, again, you're stuck in that dualistic framework of why are all these people having these awakenings? I don't have it, right? Now, another thing that can happen with this is you can bypass the frustration and competitiveness and just convince yourself it's not a thing. Like, oh, there's no such thing as awakening or people don't really have awakening. Something like that. I've seen that too, where it's like you're repressing all of this pretty intense competitiveness. You're repressing all of this sense of really missing out on life and other people having something you don't have. Not being willing to enter those emotion spaces. And then it's even another level of delusion. It's like, it's like just stop believing that it's even possible or something, right? So again, this is a subsegment of people, but I think if this either resonates deeply with you, this last one I'm talking about, or it triggers you a lot, consider it, sit with it, and see if maybe this is what's going on. Because it is based in an illusion. The sense of competitiveness is rather dualistic, right? And it has a lot of benefit. Survival of species have to do sometimes, or a lot of times, with a certain kind of competitiveness, right? But not the mental version of competitiveness. That's just a karmic physicality. The mental version that we get trapped in is deeply diluted. So that's probably the third thing I see getting really problematic for people. So let me know your thoughts on this and your own experience.